Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the multiverse, wherever you might be listening, on this Earth, some parallel Earth, or even someplace that has the videos, but for some weird reason does not have the comics. My name is Rogue Convoy, and welcome to day 2 of our comic Defender versus Defender tournament, and this is now part 2 of the series, or at least of day 2's series. So we're going to talk about day 1 of what happened on day 1. We went Luke Cage, we went Soldier Supreme. Now tonight, or today I'm going to say, because I'm going to release this sometime tomorrow. Oops. Oh well. You now know this is tomorrow. So, we're going to talk now about the combination of Laura Kinney, as known as Weapon Hex 23, and Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, which is the equivalency of Weapon Hex. Right here. Ooh, look at this shiny pop. So I had to find this one. I had to hunt this down because I did not have it for my collection, and I wanted it for mine. Obviously, yeah. I found it. It's in my collection. So with that, we're going to dive right in. Sit back, relax, put your tray table up, assuming you have a tray table. If you don't, just put the tray table up anyway. And let's head into Warp World and Earth 616, where we are meeting the young woman, as we know, known as Weapon Hex. So again, this was a combination of Weapon Hex 23 and Wanda Maximoff, but with the author, they took the name of Weapon Hex and used that for the name, Laura Kinney. So after that, I'm going to ask you to watch part 1 of day 2, and then I'll have my Instagram, TikTok, Twitter all posted up. I want you to vote. I want you to tell me who you think should win this round, and then they will move on to face I believe Iraq Knight or Daredevil in round 2. And then on the other side, Luke Cage or Soldier Supreme will take on Iron Hammer or Iron Fist. Again, Luke Cage versus Iron Fist would be fun, but who knows. So I'm not going to keep rehashing the same point over and over and over again. Just to sum this up, that basically Gamora took all the souls, took the Infinity Stones, brought everybody into the universe, and then locked them in the Soul Stone, folded the world over. 2 people become 1. In this case, Weapon X 23 and the Scarlet Witch become 1 at this point, and that is when she is known as Weapon Hex. And so that's where we will pick up from. 18 years before the conception of Warp World, a group of occultists and scientists known as the Evolutionaries wanted to create a host for a demonic entity known as Mephisto and Chiton, I don't know how you say it. I'm just bullshitting at this point. But they had failed in their attempt. One of the lead scientists in this project, Sarah Kinney, came up with a new idea, and her lover, Herbert Wyndham. So in this case, this Wyndham guy is a combination of Blackheart from Ghost Rider and Albert Wyndham. That they needed to stop trying to be perfect and go with the opposite direction with something flawed. So to achieve this plan, Sarah decides to carry the next subject herself after they had given the different enhancements and spells necessary. Sarah gave birth to a little girl which she named Laura. So this is where X-23, the Weapon Hex, begins. Herbert did not approve of this, and Sarah began to treat Laura as a human instead of an object like she was. So the dad didn't approve of it, but he's like, and she just basically started treating her as a human. Sarah cared for Laura's humanity and her empathy, whereas her father only wanted her to be a weapon and used her as such, but did not, and told her she didn't need those values. Throughout the next several years, Laura had been trained by Hellhound, so a combination of Sabretooth and Magic, Ilyana Rasputin, into the weapon and assassin known as Weapon Hex. Her father often used a spell on Laura that would drive her into a blind rage and turn her basically berserk, causing her to go nuts and kill everyone. After Laura was a bit older, Wyndham would send her off on missions accompanied by hellhounds. So the combination of magic and Sabretooth. The missions had been anything from fending off attackers to stealing a sigil from the Midnight Guns. Fearing that Laura might lose her humanity in all the process of this, Sarah went and created a clone of Laura known as the speedster Gavril. Basically a twin clone, kind of like Pietro and Wanda are twins. And hoping that it would help Laura keep her humanity. Sarah had kept the secret of Gavril to herself and only revealed it to her handmaiden Babel. So it's a combination of a demonic... It's basically a cow. Let's call it what it is. It's a walking cow. And when Laura had turned 18, she was prepared to become the vessel for the demon above. I can't pronounce it. It's like Mephiticon or something like this. Sarah then ran away with Laura, who was trying to protect her. Wyndham used the spell that makes Laura go berserk and had Laura kill Sarah in the process, and figured out where they were. After Laura had realized what she had done, Sarah had forgiven her for what she did, and then told her of her sister, Gavril, and telling Laura that she must protect her sister from her father. Laura then went on a rampage to the keep of the evolutionaries and found her sister. After she had met her sister Gavril, who would rather be called Speed Weasel. Yeah, that's always fun. The handmaiden Babel tried to run away with both girls, but they were caught by their father, Wyndham, and Hellhound. Laura had told her sister to disturb any preparations being made for the ritual, and then Weapon Hex went after Hellhound, and Hellhound had gotten the better of her, dismembering Weapon Hex and killing Babel in the process. After this, Hellhound managed to get her hands on the Speed Weasel, and Wyndham started the ritual process. Laura manages to pull herself together and went after the group to hopefully stop the ritual. Laura kills Hellhound, and then Wyndham turns her into a pile of dust with the help of some magical lightning. Laura manages, as the demon begins to take control of the Speed Weasel, Laura manages to pull herself together once more and uses her magic to summon everyone that Wyndham had betrayed. And basically any spirit that had died from the plan that Wyndham was working on. As the ghouls went after Wyndham, Laura managed to disconnect the demon from her sister. And the spirits that Laura had summoned had vanished, and Laura basically took her sister away without looking back. So, and then basically it's similar to Ghost Panther and Soldier Supreme. Emma Frost calls out to protect the world, kind of thing. Weapon Hex answers, they become part of the Defenders. Okay, so I did make a list of things that, again, these two are two different people brought together, and I figured, again, having a third party now look at this, as I talked about yesterday in the Soldier Supreme video where I had a third party take it over. So now we're going to talk about a little bit about powers here. Okay, so this is, again, an amalgamation of both X-23's abilities and Wanda's abilities, but picked by a third party. So we're going to use Wanda's witch sight here. Wanda can see above and beyond what most normal humans can. Laura has several abilities, which allow her to see farther than most normal humans, and can even see about the same in the dark. She can also hear things that most normal humans cannot hear, but also can hear the same sounds but at a much farther distance. Laura can use her sense of smell to help track down a target even hours after they were in the area. So that was a combination of witch sight and acute senses. So the next one, meditation and yoga and master acrobat. Wanda has been shown to be able to meditate. When she does this, she can use her powers more efficiently and trains to use the abilities better that she basically doesn't lose control. And Wanda also does yoga to help herself relax as well as control the darker thoughts. Laura, on the other hand, is a trained gymnast, acrobat, and aerialist that has been known to be capable of some extreme feats. And then I'm just going to use, this is the only one I got from Laura, psychic defenses. Laura shows that she is capable of some resistance when it comes to psychic attacks and probing of her mind. So she's able to block out some of the things. They're both multilingual. Similar English. They speak English, French, German. Wanda has some unique of Greek and Slovenian. Though she feels a little bit more interested into talking English. And she might know a few. She was born in Serbia, not Mold, wherever it was in the movie. And loses basically her foster parents from Romania, so she might know a little bit of Romani as well. The only major difference between her and X-23, X-23 can fluently speak Japanese. And she can also try to speak other languages, but she's also fluent in Russian. Okay, so now we're going to talk. Okay, so Wanda has a thing in her abilities which is known as chaos magic. Again, we've seen that in X-23. X-23 can use that as well, or in this case, Weapon Hex. Wanda can control powerful magic known as chaos magic, which gives her the ability to alter reality and control different forms of mystical energy. She, depending on the day, receives a blessing or the curse from Chitan, the god of chaos, which allows her to use his magic as well as her own abilities with magic. And then we're going to take into account here with the regenerative healing factor of Laura Kinney. As Wolverine's daughter, Laura gained the ability to use his accelerated healing that would allow her to heal and regenerate faster and more efficiently than normal humans. Laura can completely heal from blood loss and tissue damage within minutes of receiving them. She has such a strong healing factor that she can regrow lost limbs as well as reattach missing body parts. Her healing factor is how on her mind is, and sometimes she cuts herself with her claws, and those scars remain visible for the time being. Alright, so secondary skills. Witchcraft. Wanda was born into a magical birthright, which meant she was able to control and manipulate magic since she was a young girl. Her powers were never given to her by the high evolutionary, but she was created so that she was able to use magical energy. She is one of the few magic users in this world that could have been the next Sorcerer Supreme. Let's call it what it is. And now we're going to talk. So, expert covert ops training. Laura was raised away from the society because she was meant to be a weapon, and hence she was trained as such. She can use long-range weapons and explosives effectively, and is quite proficient in assassination techniques. So useful, again, like we talked about this with Weapon Hex. Useful for everything. And then the last one. So, expert tactician and leadership. Wanda can create and run tactics quite well. When she is sane, of course. But this comes to working with the Avengers for many years, and also doing her yoga and stuff keeps her mind sharp. Excuse me. Gifted intellect. Laura can take information from multiple sources, turn them into strategies, and change the tactics as necessary. She's also been known to have a photographic memory. So they give the X-23 a little bit of advantage, giving Weapon Hex probably the same advantage. So with that, we have now ended part 2 of our day 2 comment. Terry, that was Weapon Hex, the abilities, the powers, and the abilities that go with it. And again, this was not chosen by me. This was chosen by a third party who had no insight into it. The only insight I gave to them was, okay, here's your 2 characters. Find a way to put them together. So next Thursday, Friday, we're going to talk about Daredevil. We're going to talk about Arachnite. We're going to talk about Iron Fist. We're going to talk about Iron Hammer. And then, so after this, we're going to put polls up. I want to know from you guys. I want to know from anybody who's watching this, who do you think won? Watch both videos, and then you can compare the two, and you can find out who it is. So with that, I leave you. Let the multiverse be your guide. Let it open new doors. Let it help you travel to different places. My name is Rogue Convoy, and this has been day 2, part 2 of my tournament of Defenders versus Defenders, Weapon Hex edition.